discussion on decolonizing health journalism in Africa. And this session is the session that wraps up what the fellows of the Africa Disease Reporting Fellowship think. They've started collaborations and they will want to tell you about what inspired the collaborations, what further will be happening in terms of collaboration. Are we expecting an Africa collective of health journalists? Are we expecting more stories across boundaries? So to discuss this session, we are going to have the panel led by Dr. Lizzie Ben Ihanacho. She is someone that has done a lot in this space of conversations across Africa, and you're going to have her take on the fellows in this panel. Please give her a round of applause as she comes up. Oh yeah. 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 You know. And this panel is going to be a very lively panel, I'm sure. We're going to have, from Liberia, Moses Kole Gezero. Please, a round of applause for Moses. He has been a reporter for the VOA, for the BBC, and he has kept this fellowship very much alive. All right. And now we also have from Rwanda, Francine Andrew Saro. Please a round of applause for her. She is into digital reporting and does a lot too about health in terms of collaboration. So she's going to share experiences. And the last but not the least on this, oh, yes, Ojoma Ako, oh yeah, that's true. Ojoma Ako is from the Daily Trust. She's the health editor, and she has long years of experience that she's going to share. A round of applause for Ojoma as she comes up. We're not tired, are we? Okay, and from the Phenomenal Premium Times, we have Miriam. She's also going to lend her voice to this panel. So straight away, this is going to be a panel that will be wrapping up the conversation on decolonizing health journalism in Africa. So I hand over straight to the moderator of the panel.
Thank you for giving me the space to share what ought to have been yours. I appreciate. And I'm also I find it very intriguing, really, that this wrap-up session is talking about the power of dreams and teamwork. But before I go into what this means for me, I'd like to ask, how many of you have slept very well since you arrived in Nigeria? Slept very well?
I can count among few of them because the only thing I do better is sleeping.
Okay. Has anybody had any sprained neck from sleeping on our pillows since you arrived?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, but you have had experiences with spraining your neck once or twice or something in life?
Yeah, sure.
Sure. Okay, I'll give you the cure free of charge.
Oh, thank you.
When that happens, next time, before you say good morning to your spouse or your significant other or whoever you share the night with, I mean, I'm not going into who that can be. But before you speak to whoever you shared the night with, or even if you're alone, before you talk, before you speak, before you open your mouth and the elements get into your buccal cavity, spit into your hands, your fingers, and use the spit on your finger to massage the point of that pain. Guaranteed. That pain can be the most excruciating thing in life. Sometimes, for 4 days, you're still suffering from the fact that your pillow went lumpy. Just do what I have told you. When you get back home, tell them that one one Nigerian witch. Isn't that how they report us? Exactly. Once you, yes, yes. But I can tell you it works. And, sorry? Sorry? Witchcraft is popular in Nigeria. Oh, we are all witches. Once we know more than they know, we are witches. Once we become mother-in-law to some girl that your daughter, your son brought in from somewhere, you're a witch. It's African. Okay, great. However, that was just an opener, right? Yes, we all have this cultural repertoire of health on the move. It's not everything. I remember when I was growing up, I have a phobia for body of water. And my cousin had taken me to the local stream, and I had forgotten I was to get home before my mother comes back from work. So by the time we finished, my eyes were red, I was late to get home, and I knew I was going to get the beating of my life because my mother no believe, say, spare the child, spare, lie, she will elephant you. So as, as we were going home, I think the house help, because I grew up with, oh God, my mother's home was something else. Cousins, cousins of cousins of cousins, you know, that kind of, thank you so much. Moving on. One of them said, there is this tree, just pluck the flower, put it behind your ear. That thing is reddish. By the time you get home, it would have turned black. And by the time you get home, your mother will not say one word, not talk about lift a finger to beat you. I tell you, it worked. We plucked the, yes, how to benumb, how to benumb the position. But unfortunately, modernity, where these days one man will build a house with 50 rooms, that automatically means that you must clear the foliage, isn't it? And in doing that, you get rid of the shrubs, you get rid of the herbs, you get rid of everything else, just to satisfy your ego. Aha. So, great. So, welcome to African reality. This is where we are today, and as far as I'm concerned, we are coexisting and cohabiting with the things that we inherited from our forebears. I'd like to think that I have some things to pass on to my children and their children's children. And one of those things will be dreams. But you know one thing about dreams? Dreams just show the power of one. We dream alone. Abi, now they enter another person's dream. We dream alone, don't we? But it takes teamwork to make a dream a reality and to actualize it. And that's what this panel is about. Oh, you like the poetry? Thank you. I try. I'm a storyteller by nature, and this is my story. What are your dreams? And how do you hope that with what you have learned thus far, that collaboration and teamwork going forward could help to make your dreams come true? Particularly in your professional pursuit as a medical journalist. You understand? Okay, so that's what we'll be discussing. I will just be prompting you with some questions, okay? The power of networking, the power of partnerships, the power of collaborations. That's the next level from all that you have interfaced on and with, the different people that you have met, the new faces that, in fact, I'm meeting a Rwandan for the first time in my life. Oh. Yes, and I'm dreaming of coming to your country. But baby, I was looking for those long legs that I see as the, and yes, you're my first Liberian to meet. I'm glad to meet you. And you're a very exciting person from the reports I've heard thus far. Yeah, so yeah, do well for your country, particularly since you guys turned a footballer into your president. Now that's a dream come true. Yeah. You understand? So Africa is on the verge of dreams. What are your personal dreams going forward after this? It's your turn.
Okay, so we are here to actually see that we get to a point where we're going to have an Africa where there is a sin equity, where we are able to dismantle some of these, misconceptions about our systems, and that we're able to see that across Africa there is equal access to health services. So here as journalists, we have to collaborate to make sure that these dreams are achievable. We have to make sure that we see to, coming together to start doing stories that are unique to us, start doing African stories by identifying some of these local issues, like giving voices to the marginalized people coming from their hub, to make sure that we start pushing out stories that start presenting us in this light that, that can, celebrate us the more, So I feel like earlier during the first session, Ridwan mentioned something about us having a regional network. I think it starts from there. Having this network of journalists, because this is the maiden edition of ADREF. I believe that going forward, once we have that network, we become bigger, and then that way we are able to spread this message to our, our other colleagues at our media organizations. So I feel like teamwork to achieve these dreams are very, very important. Very, very important. And we cannot achieve this when, just like you mentioned, we have to start educating ourselves, to start decolonizing some of these beliefs that we have within ourselves, so that going forward, as journalists, we can also have this, mutual trust, within us. I have met Moses from Nigeria. Let's take, for instance, let's say Lassa fever, for example. Nigeria is recording Lassa fever. And I remember somebody, I think from Burundi, mentioned that they don't have Lassa fever. So let's say, for instance, God forbid, you record a case of Lassa fever, and then in a week time, it has increased to 1,000. The first thing that health authorities want to do is to reach out to Nigeria to see how they've been able to address, Lassa fever, see how they've been able to manage the situation. We have not gotten there, but at least we are trying. So I think teamwork, collaboration is the key.
Thank you so very much. And we do not have to wait for government to government reach out. When we have this network of every one of you working, such that when there is a case of something that already exists in Nigeria, your person on the link that you have built up on that network can easily get across to you to say, how did it, how do you, and so on and so forth.
So the example I was trying to give is that fine, as journalists, when you hear that, okay, something about Lassa fever has happened, you know that, okay, you have read a couple of stories on Premium Times, and you have seen Mariam, you have seen Zainab, you have seen Mr. Mojid Alabi's story. You want to reach out to say, okay, this is Lassa fever.
Yes.
Who are the experts that you have been able to speak to about this outbreak?
Good.
You understand?
So you can provide a solution even before governmental intervention.
Exactly. So I was actually citing the examples because the government will also need to collaborate.
Agreed.
For a national.
Agreed.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Sweetheart, I'm trying to remember your name. Oh, Francine. Oh, that's easy to remember. Thank you. Unlike my brother from Burundi. But don't worry, if I tell you my Igbo name here, you will also bite your tongue trying to pronounce it too. That's another thing about Africa. We'll come to that later. So yes, Francine. Okay. The question here is, what is the value of networking and of collaboration to you within the medical reportage that ADRAP is trying to promote?
Thank you. Talking about collaborations, but I think we should start by talking about the identity. Who is collaborating with who? And in which environment are we collaborating? We started talking about dreams. Maybe I can talk about that too.
Yeah.
Dreams,
okay, start with the dreams.
Yes, dreams about myself, dreams about my Africa.
Okay.
Yeah. My dreams might be different from my dreams for my continent, my country, my people, because my dreams, for my dreams for Africa, I have this dream that one day Africa will be one continent, one people, one population, and we have African who are not ashamed of being African. We have African who are proud to be called African, who are not just willing to be compared to other people. You will hear people saying you do something great and they start comparing you. You work like white people, you behave like white people. I hate that so much. I dream that someone from Africa, an African, can be able to be compared to himself or to African. That's my dream.
Without being validated
yes,
by...
Yes, without really demanding for validation for outside.
of Africa.
That's Africa.
A round of applause, please.
Yes.
Give her a round of applause if you're following us. That is the dream.
Yes, and by collaboration, what we call collaboration, let's start by Africa United. I have been observing here we have almost the whole continent gathered here. You know, we have from East Africa
Yes.
to West Africa,
Yes.
where the sun rises to where the sun
Sunsets.
sets. Yes, we have everyone, almost everyone here. If we want to be collaborating, we can just start from the beginning of the Africa to the end of Africa collaborating.
Okay.
So to do what? Collaborating. We need Africa united. We need to be able to go freely in Africa. We need to be able to speak, to understand each other in Africa. So to do that, we have to share some values. We have to share the identity. I was surprised to hear that some people in Africa are trying to make other Africans slaves. That's so bad of African. We have we need to come at the period, at the time that Africa is looking at the other African as a brother, a sister, someone equal to them, not someone to put down. And then the collaboration, the information, the communication will be easy if we are united. Thank you.
Thank you so very much for that opening, Francine. Moses, I'd like you to share your dreams for Africa, your personal dreams, and I'd want you to end with how part of ADRAP and the exposure it has given to you would help you to network that dream into becoming a reality.
You know, when somebody talk about dreams, I think about two dreams that I think continue to be a part of me. A black man once said he had a dream that one day the sons of slave owners and former slave owners will sit together at the table of brotherhood to discuss what goes on in the world. And we see today that the world moves around. The black man is the one that pushes all of the agendas, but the white man takes the glory. That's the first part of it. The second part is my president, my ex-president, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, the first woman president on the continent of Africa, said, if your dream don't scare you, it means you're not big enough. She said something about us representing the entire continent of Africa. We've come from the east to the west, to the south, to the central part of Africa. Don't we start a dream? Don't we start a revolution here today? And that's what I want to say. Thank you to ADRAP for the opportunity to, I don't know how you did the selection, but I think it was done with sense of careful review and a sense of wanting to achieve what you wanted to achieve to have that united Africa. So for my personal dream, this is something that I feel I was just born to be, should I say a radical, but if you look at my Facebook profile, I'm proud to be a black man, that's the first thing. So on my profile I said in the black years, because I've traveled across and I know the kind of treatment, the kind of discrimination I face just because my skin is black. So I'm proud to be that black man. I'm proud that I can stand and I can argue with someone who thinks he has a fair skin because of just one small gene that changes our outlook. So for me, it's like I want to be that change. The change can make me. It's me that makes the change. So I want to be the change itself. That's one good thing that all of us can, if we believe in ourselves to say we want to be that change, the ideology will be achievable. So the next part is how can we be able to collaborate? I mean, collaboration is one key thing that unites the world. The West has collaborated, they've united. You've never heard about, you've heard about the G8, the G7, and who you see there. Those are the people that we always run into. Those are the powerful nations around the world because they do understand what they want to achieve. Their goals are set, their agendas are set. They have a long and short-term agenda, how they can be able to achieve them. So doing cross-border collaboration, I think is one of the surest ways that we can be able to reach at the point of getting the needed result. We want to decolonize. I've been lucky. are blessed to work with international media organization, working for the VOA and working for the BBC and other smaller ones. Yeah, I work in my home country, and I understand what the white man wants to put out for us. They already build that mind that is they stereotype Africa and the rest of the of East Asia that there is nothing good that should come out. And I'm a Christian, and same as a Jewish who say nothing good can come from Nazareth, right? So they think that nothing good can come from Africa. When they're showing pictures of Africa, they're showing pictures that shows famine. They're showing pictures that show drought. They're showing pictures that show war and crisis, everything about Africa. But whoever show a beautiful picture of overpasses in Abuja? Who's done that? I don't see it. Who's showing that beautiful sports theater building in Rwanda that is hosting international basketball event? Nobody sees that. We had the Nations Cup in Cote d'Ivoire. Even the FIFA president was thrilled to say Africa can host another World Cup because Cote d'Ivoire put everything. The infrastructure was there, the facilities were there, the human capacity was so much. Everything was on point. They introduced VAR, but Africans showed them that they can even do better with the VAR. So, so I want to say that all of us in this room, it's time for us to take the bull by the horn. It's for us to be able to collaborate. We need to decolonize this issue of telling stories about Africa. African telling African stories is what matters because we will sell out the pictures for the continent of Africa. Like you said, is it, Prof? You spoke about our changing our own, decolonizing our mindset because we are natives, but we are like strangers. They tell us what they want us to say about ourselves. Is that being fair? It's not fair. So what we need to do is first believing in ourselves, decolonizing our minds, and setting our own agenda that depicts our traditional cultures and value and our professional ethics.
Thank you, Moses. Thank you. Please pass the mic to Ojoma. Ojoma, my sister from the other side of my local government area. How are you? So let's share your dreams. And I'd like you to tie it to why you're here, what you have learned, and going forward.
Okay. So, to talk about my dream, I would like to give a quick mention to what collaboration will do for us because it is how it is placed that will fast track the realization of the dream. Okay. Now, collaboration in itself, like someone mentioned earlier, will bring the diversity. Diversity in the sense that as we are all here, we have different skills. We have data, either data from our various countries, or even collective data. I could have the data concerning TB in DRC and Nigeria and all that. Then it also brings to the table our networks. You know, my network in Nigeria, her network in Kenya, and all that. So by the time we bring all this together, what I may do on my own, the collaboration expands it beyond what ordinarily I can do on my own. And then now let's go to, as much as collaboration will bring the good, the limited part of it, which we have to face reality, is that when you do collaboration, it may take a longer time. If, for instance, you work at your space of, let's say, 2 weeks in doing a story, you have to factor in the perspective that maybe Moses in Liberia or Ridwan is having language barriers or having problem with the government of his country and other. Does this override the advantages? No. It is all boils down to the fact that we have to deploy our skills of building trust, being patient, and looking at the bigger picture. Now, during the course of this fellowship, you know, the first day of our meeting, I said something that I'm proud to be an ADRE fellow. Why do I say that? Because it has brought in this new perspective of doing it from the African approach. A lot of stories have been told on CNN. Even I mentioned something on monkeypox where it was made to look like it's a black man's disease.
it had to take the voice of journalists, maybe from Africa, for them to recognize that the name of the disease itself should be changed from monkeypox to mpox. So now that this fora has been established and we are from diverse places, it is the beginning to an end. It is the beginning to an end in the sense that already it has started. Some days ago, an idea about a pandemic came up, and some of us were, decided to participate in that write-up. It is going to be bringing forth the issue of preparedness and response for pandemics. I doubt if a lot of stories have been done on that. So there was another one too. So by the time these stories are in the spotlight, we know that a whole lot of things is going to be achieved. This fora too, from, there were some selected diseases from malaria to diabetes to Ebola and all that. So it has built our capacity to even look beyond just the negative stories. Like the one on lessons learned in Liberia. We have stories we are going to be doing. I know that the health system in Rwanda, for instance, has really done a lot when it comes to equity for women, equity when it comes to gender. They've done a whole lot on health system strengthening. We could do stories that look at lessons from Rwanda, lessons from Kenya, lessons from Nigeria.
Okay, since you still have the mic and we are being very conscious of the time, I'd like you to, you've had about 3 days of interaction with your fellows from different parts of Africa, and it's a good thing. We are learning, not in abstract. Now you can put a face and a name to the Africans that you have encountered, right? Beyond whatever it is that we see via Oyibo mediated media, but it is what it is. Who amongst your fellows would you want to collaborate with going forward? No, go ahead. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. You're not toasting the person. It's just
the question is interesting because it has started already.
Yeah,
already. I am to collaborate with.
No. No. Hold on. Not I am to. That's a different thing entirely. I'm aware of you. I am to. But going beyond I am to, who would you like to?
Okay.
Oh, yes.
I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say. I do. I am collaborating with Ridwan.
I know.
And Francine.
Yes.
That's not all. Let me finish. So there are many issues of high relevance in Africa.
Yes.
Let me mention them and tell you how we want to collaborate.
Good.
For instance, across Africa, vaccine-preventable diseases is still killing a lot of children.
Okay.
Measles and all that. It is something I would like to collaborate with maybe somebody in Kenya, for instance.
Great.
Then universal health coverage is still a problem.
Yes.
A lot of these diseases, we are reporting diseases, but many people are still paying out of pocket for diseases. Our health systems are still in a bad shape. All these are areas I would seek collaboration in future.
So, ADRAP, by bringing to your doorstep, as my sister from the other side, and as host, now you have access to people that you can call upon by virtue of the network that you have shared, even if you're not formally, for the purposes of ADRAP, collaborating with them. Now you have access to other people in other countries going forward. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Yes. So
can I give you an example of the benefits I've gotten from collaboration before?
I'd like you to just hold on so that others can have something to say before they accuse me of Pasha now. All right. So, Moses, who would you want to collaborate with going forward?
I want to collaborate with everyone.
Oh, great.
With everyone because the African problem is the same. Rwanda may be doing well, but there are still lessons to be learned by other African countries. There's issue of Ebola, post-Ebola, and post-Corona in Liberia. Nigeria and Liberia, we share that same common track, and I could probably collaborate with somebody from Nigeria. Kenya, recently there have been countries sent to Liberia from the Africa CDC to be able to learn the Liberian experience and assessing the National Public Health Institute. That is probably preparing for a possible outbreak again that could come in the future. So I think this collaboration brings a lot to our doorsteps, and we need to harness it to the fullest. I will say that over and over because And one thing we need to realize that we're doing this for the continent. We can't get paid for it. Be honest. The reason the BBC is the continent is interesting. We got our own stories to be told. And if you look at the folklore of Africa, we got some of the best writers from the Chinua Achebe to Watiango, and the list goes on. We've got great storytellers that have come from Africa. Let's forget the ones that put it in black and white. So can we tell our story better and forget about the much of resources? Because if the white man gives you money, he wants you to do it his will.
Yeah, whoever plays the piper
Yes.
determines your dance step. Thank you very much, Moses. Francine, we're going forward, and irrespective of the political flip-flops, and there are many on the African continent, who would you want to build relationship with that is based on networking, even beyond that ADRAP has already started? Beyond working with this person for this specific moment, we have a data bank now that's available to you, because every one of you is going to go home with each other's contacts. So we'd like to know who you would like to work with and to what purpose thereafter.
Here we're talking about doing things African way, for African. So my answer will be, my collaboration will go to the whole Africa, from the east to west, to north to south. That means everyone in this room and beyond.
Is a potential for
Yes.
your collaboration.
But in order to collaborate with that Africa, let me try to share with this Africa. I want what I have. We have this kind of values in your reporting in my country.
Yes.
We have these 4 principles that we follow every time, that we are preaching to every journalist, everyone in any reporting form. We hope that our journalism can be just following those principles, so that we can make it.
Can you share briefly what are these 4
Yes,
principles? Briefly.
the one is show without shocking. We have
Show
been,
without shocking.
Yes, we have been talking about not showing the bad pictures of Africa.
Yes. Sensitivity to
Yes,
people's
yes.
Okay.
Say without harming.
Say without harming.
Yes.
Sounds good.
And let me check the other one. Say without harming, show without shocking. The other one is inform without discouraging.
Inform without discouraging.
And the last one is denounce without condemning.
Denounce without condemning.
Yes. Those are the 4 principles we follow in my country.
Can we please clap for Rwanda? Okay, these are the principles that act as checks and balances.
Yes.
For
And I hope everyone I'm going to be collaborating with can share those principles with me.
in
Thank
your
you.
collaboration and partnership.
Thank you.
Thank you. Miriam, it's your turn. And we are wrapping up with making our dreams live, breathe, and work post-ADRAP. Who would you want to collaborate with? What will be the principles and the values that you want to infuse in that collaboration? And particularly paying attention to the guidelines and the criteria that might be hampering in your own country, in your own nation. She has just said, whoever I'm going to collaborate with has to realize that these are the ways it works for her. How would it work for you as a Nigerian journalist?
Okay, for me, I would also say, just like Moses and Francine, I would like to collaborate with everyone, including my fellow Nigerians here. So because there are still some places that I have not been to in the country, and I feel collaborating with them will avail me. So I feel like post-ADREF, just yesterday I've tried to save contacts of everyone.
Great, that's step 1.
I've introduced myself. I said, my name is Mariam, I work with this platform. So I feel like we have our challenges, right, in Africa. In terms of diseases, we have malaria, we have cholera, we have TB, we have HIV and all that. So I feel like the contacts that we have here will help us to build this strong network, that it will also help us like fast track our stories. You know, it won't, just like for me now, I didn't get the opportunity for ADREF, for instance. And then sometimes I get to report stories from other countries because, yeah, there are websites. You can access news from Liberia, from UK and all. So because I want to report that thing, I don't understand exactly what is happening because the local media from that country, it is easier for me to quickly reach out to her to say, okay, please, can you quickly help me do this? Who are the experts you think I can speak with? Can you help me get information from them if they don't want to speak with me directly? So I feel like, just like Ojoma also points out, that we have different skill sets. Even at the level of the newsroom, we have different skill sets. I think the BBC does one thing that I really appreciate is the fact that when they do stories, they try as much as possible that even if the byline is just a single byline, at the end of the documentary or the story, they try to credit. Yes, because it's about collaboration. No big stories you do today that you don't collaborate. Even if you want to go out there, you also have to get fixers in Nigeria. Yes. There are places I've not been to. When I want to go there for stories, I need to identify people that will take me around. So collaboration is very, very important, and I'm happy to collaborate with everyone.
I want to thank each and every one of you for sharing your dreams with us. I can assure you it's not an easy thing to talk about one's dream, particularly before strangers. Thank you for sharing your impressions about ADREP and the fellowship that you have been going through, and how the exposure that the ADREP fellowship has given you can help to give legs and wings to your dreams. Above all, I want to thank everybody that has listened to us, that has helped to capture this moment so that thereafter this conversation can continue. Africa is all that we have. Africa is what we each carry around with us. Africa is our yesterday, it's our today, it's our going forward. And may we carry and birth an Africa that we will all be proud of. God bless you all. Okay, sorry. Teacher, no vex, no vex. I beg, make una sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down. Okay, yes, I speak Pidgin without apologies to anybody. I write Pidgin without apologies to anybody. I write my native language without apologies to anybody. I am African without apology to anybody. So now, I don't fail. I've scored myself, 75%. As teacher now, I suppose ask for questions, no be so. All right, house, questions, please. Comments, questions. Did you do well? I've been entertainment, now we do. Somebody should comment me, otherwise I know we'll come up from here. Hey, I want to say, my brother from the other side.
Well, brothers. My question is for Francine. I suddenly realized yesterday that I was friendly with somebody from Rwanda. I know she was from Rwanda. But it suddenly dawned on me, Rwanda, the genocide, wow. And I was suddenly looking at the survival. Now we know the role the media played or refused to play in that very disgraceful incident. What I want to ask her is this. What happened, the genocide, affected in any way journalism practice in your country? Are there certain rules that have been codified into things that are taught in institutions, maybe schools, so on and so forth, to really, appreciate what happened and then prevent reoccurrence?
Okay, on chair, are we allowed political questions, or are we supposed to restrict ourselves to health-related issues so that this conversation can continue outside of? I want to be guided, please. Okay, so she's free to answer.
Yeah, but let me put it in proper perspective.
Okay.
We'll be glad to know if, by any way, the political occurrences of the past in Rwanda ever affected the way you practice journalism, and the roles journalists played in trying to correct whatever led to that, to the good narratives, that we have about the country now. I also want to say, as you go, please shake him again for me. The last time I met Kagame, it was in Senegal. I wish we stood and talked about, I don't know what, there's something about Rwanda and Nigeria, I don't know. We saw at the way at the convention center, the next Einstein Forum. I think Rwanda hosted it too. And he ran into us and was passing by,
I like his simplicity. He saw me wearing a Nigerian attire just like Ismaili did. He said, how are you? A Nigerian friend. I said, well, I'm shaking the great president. So shake him back again for us. He's done well. I hope he has mentored good people to take over from him very soon. Yeah.
Thank you. You made it look like it's more political, but running from our history, everything became political. That's the basic reasons we made these principles. Running from the experience of our previous journalists, our fellow journalists who were there in the before and during the genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda. That's why we ran from them, and we set barriers, we set those principles that are guiding us to go the way that we will not go back to the way they did the thing. Genocide is very bad, really very bad. He was asking me how I survived. I told him it was lucky. Everyone survived because of lucky. But genocide still is our history. We can't deny it, but we have to live with it. We have to move from that and move forward, and we have to do really a big effort to overcome that. We ran a big one. We ran it a hard way. But because of genocide, because of people who participated, because of the involvement of journalism. Even now in my country, we are still, as journalists who were born, who were not born yet, during the genocide, we are living the consequences of what those journalism who were there did during and before genocide, because they were preaching hate speeches, they were just discriminating people, telling people who is to hate who. Those things, they did it, but now we are paying for it. I have been telling my friends that my government happened to pay the machetes that killed the people in Rwanda. It's our history. We live it. We accept it, and we move on. Now, after 30 years of genocide against the Tutsi, we are trying to reconstruct ourselves. We are now a new country. Everyone is talking about Rwanda. It was not the same case after genocide. Now we are living, we are alive, we are overcoming, we are really happy to move on. But we don't forget where we come from, and we are making it like a background to work from it and to build something big, even bigger, and to be the light of the whole world. Thank you.
I think Rwanda has been commended, and Africa commends you for the efforts that you people are making post the genocide. Yes.
Okay, Nena and I were just having a conversation about it, that it's a big lesson for us to learn it.
Yes.
And this has affected almost everything.
And please, everyone, we are welcome in Rwanda to run from the field. Thank you.
Don't worry, they are the ones sponsoring my club, Arsenal. Anyway, we have a lot to learn from Rwanda. Like she just, in her own words, nobody wants to talk about the civil war. And
I don't want to mention that because Jane and I
are from the same place.
Are sisters in more ways than one. Can we please not talk about the civil war?
No, you see, this is also the norm we have to break. I will talk about it, even if you people don't talk about it. But we will talk about it because it wasn't like we were insulated from the effect. I'm from Benue State, and I know a couple of people people don't believe this. I know for a couple of families, whose houses were bombed, and one or two people, not too far away from my own family house, during the war. But notwithstanding, there are great lessons to learn. There were discoveries that have been made during that period. Let's not go political, let's not go ethnic. During the war, so many discoveries were made, especially in medicine and technology and all of that too, that have been ignored. So even if we're not going back to the history of the war for malicious reasons, there are also lessons that could also be solution to whatever we're fighting. I have heard so many people who are active in the world who are saying, this thing that is happening, during the war it was happening, but this is what our people did, and people were being saved. I worked with somebody who was into therapeutic foods. His bread, he was able to put a lot into the bread such that if you eat it, you can get cured of certain things. All of these things were things that he, well, based on experiences that he had during the war, he now came out to also take it a notch, a notch higher by going to study nutrition. And it's paying for him. It's paying, so we could take this a little bit further, but it's a conversation that must be led by some level of people. Emotions must be actually, weighed up before this can actually have a traction. But really, what I want to ask all of you, just briefly, especially from the different countries, I want to know what your peculiar challenges are. These peculiar challenges that have actually prevented you from doing your disease-specific, or let's say health stories, from the way you ordinarily would have loved to do it. From Nigeria, from Liberia, from Rwanda. I want to hear from you.
You want to start?
So I think it's always about knowledge gap in the first place. As a journalist, you're not an expert. You're not a scientist. You're not a doctor. You're not a nurse. You probably haven't had anything to do with medical, studying medicine in school. You've studied journalism, and it's an interest-based reporting field you've picked. So our key challenges have been the issue of knowledge. We succumbed to Ebola in Liberia because information sharing was really poor, because even the journalists, let alone the medical practitioners, were lacking knowledge of the virus, despite there were different strains. The other thing is the media economy is one thing that hampers the progress of some of these progress, because look, journalists in Africa are really underpaid. So if you want to undertake a specific reporting project, it means it constitutes a lot. You have to travel from one destination to the other, and you get like $150 or $200 or $300 in salary, and you are supposed to spend $200 to go across to be able to do that story. At times people just say, let me just forget it. So economic reason and knowledge-based reporting in health is one key area that is affecting us. And I hope that's why I do appreciate this IDRA fellowship. And we can start from there. Good mentorship for the next generation would be good for some of us that are getting the knowledge from the experts. They might not be opportune to have these opportunities. So we must be able to serve as tutors and mentors for them so that they can realize the value of telling their own stories. They can tell, look, you don't need to do the big health story. You can do the smaller ones from your community on outbreaks. And from there, one can come from somebody to reference your story. So for me, two things, the economy and knowledge base.
Well, there are actually challenges, but it will not be complete if I add something. Why we meet challenges is more like survival of the fittest. You have to have ways of mitigating the challenges to get the desired result. 2 days ago, I mentioned something about experts on short notice. If, in as much as you may have 1,000 doctors on your phone, there are different fields and different specialty. And sometimes what you really need is not information that is out there, it's new information. So why we meet that challenge is, like I said, there is always a way to navigate around it. Another challenge is funding. Funding in the sense that if I want to do a story about the blind people in Garbabi, Taraba State, for instance, I need to travel there to have that feel, to see the cases for myself, to interview the patients, the experts, and all that. Now, when the funding is not there, some of us have really done selfless journalism on our pocket. You understand? I've had costs to travel to Maiduguri to do a story at my cost. I may have struggled through it, but there are journalists sometimes that cannot even afford it. So having fellowships have helped, international fellowships have helped, but as we also do stories from the African perspective. It will be good to have African organizations that are willing to give, even if it's stipends, to do such stories. I have more, but let my colleagues.
Okay, go on. Since you want to add on, go on.
Okay. So she's just trying to explain that to do any impactful work, any impactful story, it is costly because journalism is expensive. You have to identify that there's a story idea somewhere. You have to map out how to move. Then from going there to getting your sources and everything is very, very expensive. So I think from my own perspective, another issue I have actually encountered, especially, for instance, I have done stories that try to spotlight primary health centers in rural communities because there's an issue about access to health services in rural communities. So you go to some PACs and then you are trying to explain to, their matron, the health attendants there, the community health workers there, and they are trying to hold back that, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. Most times you have to pretend, you have to tell them you work with one development organizations to give them that impression that, okay, you want to really impact them before they can allow you to see some of their facilities. You understand? So in terms of reporting, our governments still don't understand that the role we play as journalists is to call, exactly, is to call their attention to some issues. So they tell them, if you see any journalist, don't allow them enter. Don't talk to them. So that is another issue that we face.
Oh, but they are saying that the time is up. Maybe I can say that journalists has a role to play in that making the community believe in us, the government believing in us, other people believing in us. You will see everywhere people see when they hear journalists is coming, it's like the police. It's like someone who is just against them. Yes, yes. Why don't we try to do something that can bring us closer to the population, to other people, so that they stop being afraid of us, and then we can just get what we want from them. Yes, thank you.
Any other comment? Any other intervention? Okay, I'm told that my time is up and I should kill this panel. This panel is hereby killed.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lizzie and the panelists. This is that has been exciting and engaging, I guess. Thank you so much for being a part of this. Please do share the videos and in the comment section you can send us comments. We'll be waiting to hear from you about what you think about the things that the panelists have all talked about. And that's where we go. From here, we're moving to health, a herbal pharmacy to see what is obtainable, the progress that has been made in terms of standardizing herbal products from African origin. Thank you very much for staying with us, and do stay tuned as we share more updates. If you want to tweet at us on X, you use the hashtag ADREF, A-R-E-F. Thank you very much.